Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Are you thinking of migrating abroad and want to maintain your lifestyle? Well, you're in the right place. I am going to be sharing with you my unfiltered experience living in the United Kingdom. From culture shock to the challenges of navigating everyday life, I will reveal to you what no one told me before I made the move. Culture shock. I moved to the UK 3 years ago as a student. I was alone and naive. I secured a tiny room in a shared flat with 4 other guys, and it was every man for himself. This was a huge adjustment from Africa, where community is everything. For me, that was the first time I would be living with other people sharing flats. I've never done it before. I had to quickly adjust to having to respect people's private space and not go into people's affairs. I remember then we all have our kitchen cabinet and in the fridge to have my own space. So you need to be mindful of not touching people's food. So this is one thing you need to bear in mind. I remember one night I was praying in a quiet way and not knowing that my next door neighbor could literally hear all that I was saying. It got to a point that he had to come and knock on my door, pa, pa, pa. Oh, he told me politely that I could hear all that you're saying. Can you bring it down? I'm like, really? I thought I was praying in a cool, in a silent way, but I didn't know that the next door person can hear. So that's one thing I need to adjust to as well. Another thing is I realized that when I'm going to have my shower in the morning, this was winter period, the bathroom window is always open. So I'll be like, why is the bathroom window open? It's winter. Um, I didn't know that the essence of the bathroom being left open was so that the condensation would not settle in the bathroom, because when you're having your shower, there's steam that is being generated from the hot water. So that when it settled in the bathroom, it would cause damp, and when there's damp, there will be mold. So that was the reason why they had to open the window. Of course, some bathroom here would have fan in the bathroom. What the fan does is to extract the condensation so that there won't be settlement of condensation in the bathroom and not have mold, because mold is not good for your health. Surviving as a student was challenging. I had to work night shift, attend class the following day, squeeze in 2 hours of sleep before lecture started, work, assignments, lecture, all these were weighing me down. Family responsibility as well. It wasn't very easy as a student to work and also look after your family. You have to pay your school fees, you have to send money back home, especially if your family are not here with you. So in my own case, it was a bit different because my family didn't come with me immediately. They came 3 months after. But in that period, doing my 20 hours job, supporting my school financially, send money back home. I have to pay rent, even though living in a shared accommodation was cheaper then. I think I was paying 375 pounds inclusive of bills, so I would say that's cheap. My room was smaller than a prison cell and bills kept piling up. I remember back then the bed in my room was very small, can only take me alone, and the space in the room is so small that the space between my bed and the drawer where my laptop is kept when I need to study, and there's a small wardrobe on the side, was barely 2 feet actually. So it's very, very small. So, and this is me, coming from Africa. I live in a big sizable flat. I have my bathroom, toilet to myself. I never had to share, bathroom or toilet with anyone. And coming here, I had to sort of readjust, and then so that I can fit in the system. Here you have to share the bathroom. Yeah, I shared bathroom with 4 other guys, same as toilet. Yes, so please, you need to understand that life abroad is not the same as in Africa. Family life abroad. My family joined me 3 months later, and finding accommodation was a nightmare. Landlords didn't want to give families with children accommodation, and we had to settle for a house with 1 toilet and poor eating. My landlord then would regulate the eating. Don't forget, it was winter period. It would come up at 6 p.m. and would turn it off at 7 a.m. and we were not allowed to use external heater. But I don't care, I had to get an external heater because I'm not going to allow my kids, to suffer in cold during the day when the heating had been turned off. So this was how we had to sort of, make an adjustment and in a way find a way to be able to survive. Winter was brutal, but the bills were inclusive in the rent. Guess what? 6 months into the rent, the landlord increased the rent. I was paying £900 then, and suddenly it was increased to £1,125. And I remember back then my wife told me that, no, we are not going to pay. Do not listen to them. Don't pay. So my only question that I asked my wife then was, so if we decide not to pay this increment and they give us quick notice, what are we going to do? Do you have a house that we're going to move into? Remember, it was just this landlord that agreed to give us a house because other landlords would not accept us because we have children. So this is one challenge. So now I think the letting agent who is relating to us on behalf of the landlord can understand that it is not easy to find accommodation as a family with children. Plus, there were loads of students then. So if you say you don't want, there are 2-3 people that is waiting in queue to move in or to pay and just get the house. So I understand that, but my wife didn't understand. She just thought, oh, you can get accommodation easily. I knew what I went through to get accommodation then, because you have to do what they call referencing. You need somebody to reference you that, yes, oh, I know this person, I can shorty this person. The whole essence of doing referencing is so because if by any chance you defaulted in your rent, they are going to hold the referee. And sometimes landlord would demand for a reference from someone who has property in the UK. So I just moved into the UK. I barely know a lot of people. I remember speaking to someone I knew from Nigeria that also migrated to the UK and became successful and could stand in that gap of referencing me for house renting. And I remember him telling me that, oh, you know what, I would love to reference you, but from experience, I had referenced someone in the past and the person defaulted his rent. Because of that, I can't reference you. I felt really bad, but on the second thought, I put myself in a shoe that truly, if this had happened to me, what would I have done? Would I continue referencing people? And if they keep defaulting, I'll continue to clear up their mess. But as God will have it, I spoke to someone who lived in London, and she was magnanimous enough to reference me. And I forever remain grateful to her for what she had done for me, because without that, I probably would continue to live in an Airbnb or in a hotel that would not be convenient for me and my family. So this is one of the challenges that I face. Time management. In Africa, we are laid back. Abroad, punctuality is vital. I learned to plan every journey, resume work on time, and prioritize my kids' schedules. Are you the type that picks up your kids late from school? Well, you should be ready to pay for after-school club. After-school club, just in case you cannot pick up your kids from school when they close maybe 3 p.m. or quarter past 3, it's no problem. All you need to do is to inform the school or sign up your kids for after school club. After school club, you pay maybe £10 if you want to leave your kids between the hours of 3 p.m. or quarter past 3 to 5 p.m. You pay about £10 for that. Or if you want to leave them longer till 6 p.m., you pay an extra maybe £2 or £3, so making between £10 to £15 for that period. And in after school club, the kids get the chance to also, relate with other kids, their peers. I think they get snacks, they get milk, and I think they get to play games and do other things. But there's someone who is coordinating them. So, yeah, just bear that in mind that yes, there's that chance as well. There's opportunity like that. But just know that you cannot leave your kids beyond 6 p.m. in school if you don't want to receive letter or visitation from social services, right? Or social service. The Nightmare House. After my graduation in 2022, we thought we had found our dream home, but it was a disaster. So the first week that we moved into this house, it's a 3-bedroom flat. It's a house. And I noticed that there was water dripping in the bathroom on the wall. So I took pictures. I sent it to the letting agent to say, hey, it's just a week, barely a week we moved into this house. Look at what we had found. Good enough, it was around October ending, right, that we moved into the house. And no, it was around November, first week in November. So it was raining then. So whenever it rains, we'll see water dripping from the wall. So the agent will send the contractor to come and have a look at the roof. So the contractor will go on the roof, we'll have a look, we'll fix whatever he fixed. But the problem was not resolved. It kept coming. And there was no window in the bathroom. So when we are bathing, the steam cannot go out through the window because there was no window. So the fan that was in the bathroom is not even strong enough to extract the steam. At the end of the day, as a result of that, there will always be condensation in the bathroom. So that's what, leads to mold. And the last room in the house was a no-go area. It was always cold. I didn't know then that there was no insulation in that room, in the walls. So that house is just locked off. Nobody goes there. There's always cold and there's damp in the room. So from the room, the damp will seep through the kitchen and to the bathroom. So we were battling with mold. We kept cleaning mold. And on the kitchen wall, we could see water dripping through the wall. I have pictures, I was documenting everything. The kids' room was also cold. The radiator heater in that room was so small that it's not even enough to heat up that room. So there was a particular period that we all had to sleep in the big room. Myself, my wife, and the kids, right? Because the other room is too cold. So it got to a point we had to bring in an external electric heater to add up to the gas radiator heater in the room, because that's the only way we could increase the heat, we could generate heat in that room during the winter period. But bear in mind that we're paying double bills, because there's a bill going for the gas for heating, and there's electric bill as well for using electric heater. And you have to constantly do that. If you don't do that, it'll be so cold that you won't be able to sleep. So as you're heating the room, the cold is actually emitting it, back outside. So this was the problem we faced in the house. So I made sure I was documenting everything. And because of the cold that was coming through the kitchen as well, the water seeping through the walls, you see discoloration in the wall. So I made sure I took pictures of everything, And once there's any damage, I will inform the letting agent. They will need to take permission from the landlord. They will send in someone to come and fix it. This was how we have been living in that house until we had to move out of the house, at the end of the 1-year tenancy agreement. If I had known, I should have started suspecting when they were forcing me, not forcing anyway, they said the landlord would only accept 1-year rent. If it was 6 months, I probably would have pulled back, move out of the house at the time we completed 6 months in the house. But because it was a 1 year, I'd already signed it, and I cannot pull out of the agreement. Otherwise, I have to pay, the rent or fine or something. So that was not an option for us. So we had to manage, pay high bills during the winter, and then suffer mold. So it got to a point they had to send experts to come and clear off all the mold in the house, because it's not good to have children in the house where there's mold. So when they were cleaning the mold, they cleaned the mold, and they had to drill a hole in the room to put in a fan. So at the point where they were drilling the wall, I now peeped through and I saw that there was no insulation in that wall. Usually when they build house here, between the brick outside and the plywood inside, there is an insulation they insert in between. So what the insulation is like a wool. It will sort of shield the cold pressure as it's coming from outside from going straight inside. That was not there at all. So we had to battle with that. So at the end of the 1 year rent, we had to move out. And when you're moving out, you have to take stock, because when you're moving into the house or flat, they will give you like a catalog of what was installed or fitted in the house or flat. So we had a catalog. So we made sure that we cleaned the house professionally. We replaced the broken curtain. We replaced the broken window blind. I bought all those things. I cleaned the rug and the oven, the fridge. Guess what? They went to the deposit protecting agency that they wanted £800 from the £1,325 that I deposited for the house before we were given keys to move in. So usually the deposit holding agency would confirm with the tenants that, do you agree that your landlord to take this amount of money from your deposit you have with us? So I remember contesting it to say no. The house was cleaned, and then we bought things that were broken in the house. The house was left in a good shape. So we had a back and forth. The deposit holding agency asked me to prove why they don't deserve that money. So I brought out those pictures. I wrote lengthy story about my experience since when we moved in. We exchanged over 80 emails with the letting agents in that period of 1 year that we lived in that house. More than 80 emails. So I referred to all those communication, brought out some of the communication as evidence, pictures, videos. So at the end of the day, the deposit holding agency had to investigate. So they asked the letting agent to also back up their claim, because the letting agent said, now, when I refuse them the £800 damages that they were claiming, they came back with a counter-claim offer, a counter-claim request that they wanted all the deposit, which was £1,325. And I'm like, for what? They said for redecoration. So at the end of the day, it took about 6 weeks for the deposit protecting agency to investigate and came up with a verdict. Having contested their claims with the Deposit Protection Agency, I won back £652. Imagine if I had not kept records of all the damages happening in the house as a result of structural defects. I would have lost all my deposit, £1,325. That is my honest story about moving abroad. It is not all sunshine and rainbows, but you can thrive with the right mindset and preparation. Do remember to subscribe and share.